Hi nursery. So today I'm going to read our new story, The Squirrels Who Squabbled. They look really grumpy, don't they, on the front of this book? And remember, it's by the author that we're learning about, Rachel Bright. Right, let's see what they're squabbling over, shall we? In a towering forest where summer had been, the cool air bit fresh and the mosses grew green. And as autumn edged in and the sky raged red, the sleepiest creatures got ready for bed. While in a tree swung a flighty young squirrel who everyone knew as spontaneous Cyril. Now, most foresty folk had seen to their needs through the plentiful months of mushrooms and seeds. They'd built up their stores so they'd all be well fed through the frosting of winter that glistened ahead. So they're getting all of their food ready so they can sleep through the winter and they have food ready. But Cyril, he lived in the now and the here. He had adventured and parted his way through the year. So his cupboard was empty, his hollow was bare, he hadn't a mouthful of food anywhere. He'd eaten all his food and he hadn't saved any food for the winter. But wait, what was that? Over there, take a look. A single lone pine cone wedged in a nook. He squealed with delight, and for very good reason, for inside were the very last nuts of the season. I know he's got to get from here all the way over here to get the last nuts so he just has something to eat. But Cyril wasn't alone. There were more hungry eyes. Yes, plan ahead Bruce had his sights on the prize. Though he'd gathered a mountain of bounty, hard fought, Bruce was convinced he was one pine cone short. I simply must have it, he wistfully cried as he dreamt of the fresh, juicy pine nuts inside. Look at all the food that he saved up, and he wants one more. But as Cyril set off on his way to the ground, Bruce, he was also last pine cone bound. They sprinted and scurried with no time to gamble. They scratched at the bark as they scampered, scrambled. But their panic and haste shook the tips of the spruce, and the pine cone, it trembled and it came loose. Both squirrels gave chase at a lightning pace. This was the start of the wild, nutty race. It's mine, shouted Cyril. No, mine, hollered Bruce. You don't stand a chance. Give up, it's no use. I'm hungry, said Cyril. This cone is not yours. Stay back, shouted Bruce. This cone is for my stores. It boinged over bushes and flew through the air and binged on the nose of a slumbering bear. It bounced over boulders, then came to a stop. Then teetered and wobbled and quivered and what's going to happen to it? Plop! Both squirrels followed. Oh, the water was fast. Would they learn that they needed each other at last? But each was intent on how he could win. So they didn't quite notice a bird sweeping in. Oh, no. Cyril and Bruce were watched in dismay as the cone disappeared up, and away. Come back, shouted Cyril. Oh, there are nuts, exclaimed Bruce. But all hope was gone. It was simply no use. And meanwhile, they drifted right up to the ledge. Greed, it was driven them over the edge. Oh my goodness me, look at this. Cyril and Bruce, they had taken a fall. They were paying the price for wanting it all. They squandered their chances to team up and share. Would their nutty young hopes simply end in despair? Oh no. Bruised and bedraggled, they swept past dry land. Cyril grabbed at a branch with a trembling hand. Catching Bruce with the other, he heaved and he huffed and dragged him to safety with panting and puffs. They stared at the sky, quite lost in deep thought, until Bruce looked at Cyril and let out a snort. How silly are we, he proclaimed with a jiggle. How greedy I've been, spluttered Bruce with a giggle. We shall change from today. May the squabbling cease. We should celebrate, seeing we're both in one piece. From that day and forward, they made a great pair. They would gather together and found they could share. Yes, Cyril and Bruce, they all knew in the end the best thing to share is a laugh with your friend. Oh, how lovely. So in the end, they decided actually it's a good idea to share, isn't it? Because they both ended up without anything because they were fighting or squabbling over the pine cone and neither of them won. I hope you enjoyed that story and I will see you soon. Bye, nursery.